Welcome to the LongBox Paradox, episode 44. I'm Dan, and today I got my curated picks for the week. And we're going to start off right away with Batman, The Batman's Grave by Warren Ellis, Bryan Hitch, and colors by Alex Sinclair. Interesting. I've been waiting on this to come out for a while. I'm a huge Warren Ellis fan, and to see him and Bryan Hitch together again is pretty fantastic. This comic in particular focuses a lot on Alfred. Begins with Alfred, and he's tending to the Wayne burial plots. And in it, you go through his inner monologue of him tending for it and how they bought all these plots and they have a grave that's empty with Bruce's headstone on there already. And it's him kind of ruminating on, how it's basically the boy is eventually going to end up in this grave. It says, like, Alfred has always known that before he goes, he will see the hole under the third grave slab be filled. And on it, he's touching the gravestone of Bruce. Some beautiful art here. Again, Hitch, he's very, very good. Not the greatest storyteller with his art, but there's detail, there's illustration. He does move it pretty well. Just sometimes it's hard to explain. It doesn't captivate me as much as some others. Some panels just they're kind of bland. The book starts after the grave, and it's two men walking with their kid. They'd just gone and seen a horror movie. They brought their daughter with them, and they're about to be held up. Batman comes in, starts busting heads. And he ends up getting a call to go to this apartment complex, and there is a gentleman who is dead, and his name is Vincent William Stanek, and in it he's got all these pictures and news clippings of Batman. And the body is pretty well decomposed, and Batman's doing this, VR scan of the room. The room basically is pretty sterile and clean. And him and Alfred kind of get into it. And they, Alfred's just like, when I was a soldier, we just killed everybody that was bad. You immerse yourself in the dead Master Bruce, and you come back each time a little less alive. The only thing your grave is missing is a date. Bruce does the VR room, the reconstruction of it, and starts kind of doing detective work. And it's weird because Batman in the books now, he doesn't do a lot of detective work anymore. Does a lot of therapy sessions in the regular. Occasionally, he does some detective work, but this is like heavy detective work. And I kind of like it. He's going through, the case, and then he's kind of reliving what the character, Vincent Stanek, what his life was, and how he'd be thinking and moving around. It's panels and panels and pages of it. And when he's doing it, he has this revelation. And he runs back to the apartment, opens it up, and he moves the bed. And he's, talking it out. He's like, "You were my friend. You didn't take anything except my life. And I know why." And he flips the floorboards open, and underneath, he finds the killer under there. And everything you wanted was still in the fabric of this room. The smell of another person, the echo of their voice. Why would anyone look under the floorboards? And the guy underneath says, "I was lonely." And that's how it ends. It was interesting. I do like a little bit of this Alfred kind of giving Bruce shit about kind of, he knows he's going to end up dead. He's going to end up in this hole in the ground. And of course, Bruce is just completely desensitized to it, and It's interesting interactions. I do like the kind of mental aspect that Warren Ellis is going here. The one thing it's another deconstruction story, and good God, we've had so many deconstruction stories of the Batman lately. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more action, but the detective work I really like. I'm gonna give this a 7 out of 10. Could it have been better? Probably, but again, this is the first issue, so I will really hold judgment on the series till we get to the next one. And this is a 12-issue miniseries, so it's got plenty of room to breathe. And again, I trust Warren Ellis quite a lot, and I've liked him and Hitch since The Authority, so I'm happy to see them back together. And moving on, we are going now to Event Leviathan number 5. Lois has her team together, her second team of detectives, and they're starting to talk it out. They're going over the primary list of suspects: Steve Trevor, Director Bones, Amanda Waller, Talia al Ghul, Batgirl, Maxwell Lord, Jimmy Olsen, Ra's al Ghul, Red Hood, and Kate Spencer, the Manhunter. And Elongated Man's saying we can officially clear them all as suspects. None of them are Leviathan or Leviathan adjacent. None of them, not Maxwell Lord. I really thought it was him. And then they're saying, oh, most of the internet says it's at Maxwell Lord also. We can confirm. Anyone on the list is either cleared by more than one of us or very dead. And Elongated Man says, basically, it's her father. Her father is Leviathan or Leviathan adjacent, and she's kind of in denial. Zatanna is offering to send her there, showing her the room, and Batman has been listening in on the other end in his $3 million car. And Lois ends up visiting her father's room. His vitals are stable. He's sleeping with a gun under the blanket. And she asks him, why does everyone think you're Leviathan? He says, because I know Leviathan is right. And while this is all going on, she can't get Superman. He can't hear. They can't find him. They can't do anything. And Leviathan comes and starts attacking the hospital room with Sam laying in there. And he ends up shooting one of the attackers' guns, and it blows up. And Lois and her father end up being teleported to what looks like the Arctic. And it's kind of interesting. He might have just passed. Well, in Chicago, Superman's trapped in this light, and Leviathan shows this army and these airships, and starts going into the manifesto, and kind of giving hints of who it is, what it is. Damian's getting a little cockeyed, and he's staring down Kate Spencer quite a bit. And he turns and he's like, your Manhunter staff. She's like, yeah, I know, you like it? He goes, how many other people have access to that Manhunter tech? The other Manhunters? And she's like, what? You weren't the first Manhunter. And while this is only on, Superman and Leviathan are going back and forth. And he says, it's not a mask, and your powers don't work in this field he's in. And man, the Leviathan reveals himself, and as that's going on in the car, she starts kind of freaking out, and she's like, pull over, I'll jump. And Green Arrow's like, sit down, and Damian wants the staff, and the car gets shot and flips. And we find it's Talia al Ghul. She's like, sorry, darling, it was only supposed to get your attention. Damien, it's Mummy, you okay? And she says, would you be so kind as to have your manhunter step outside? Please do hurry. I can't believe I have to save the world. And it looks like she's got Silencer with her. I was really hoping we were going to find out the real, because they kept kind of hinting that this was going to be the episode or issue they reveal who Leviathan is. And since they're hinting about Manhunters, I really hope it's not one of the old Manhunter characters. Good God, who gives a shit if it is? But that's kind of in the Bendis vein of, we're going to pull this jabroni from the past, and it is what it is. I'm a little let down by this issue, I'm not going to lie. I was hoping for a lot more. I'm going to give this a 6. Again, nothing. The art was okay, just the story kind of just plodded along, and, with the solicitation saying we're going to have this great reveal, there's not a reveal. There just wasn't, and that kind of bothers me. It's frustrating. So we're going to move on to Powers of X number 6, or Powers of 10, or Power of 10, whatever you want to call it. I call it a damn good book. And much in the way that House of X number 1 started, this starts the same way, with Charles at a fair, and he meets Moira on a bench, and they have the same discussion over again. And he reads her mind and shows, and she shows him what has happened, what's gone on. And then we have a jump to the future in the year 1000, and we now have this newer, evolved version of, I guess it's almost like a Nimrod. It's some type of character like that, blue. And it's Wolverine and Moira in the woods, in the jungle. The character calls himself he says, I'm the librarian, dead languages fascinate me. And basically the Technarch are coming, or what they call themselves, the Collective, the Phalanx, and they're going to wipe out humanity, and the world is ending tomorrow. Moira now learns the reasons for what they're doing, and now it's in her collective memory. And Wolverine then stabs her so that she can try and change things. The most interesting thing is now, basically, she says that you're a good man who believes in the goodness of others, and it breaks my heart that I have to break that part of you, but I will break it, because that's what has to happen now. I know you will fight me, just like your shade Eric will fight me, but this time, I mean for all of us to be together, all of us. You've been dreaming the wrong dream, Charles, and it's long past time that you wake up. And again, the both series kind of work tangential of each other, and it's fascinating because now it has more of his journals in it, and also it has just after in House of X they show them with this council, the Winter Council, and little fascinating things in here. Moira's kind of very hardened in this compared to how we saw her in other things. The first meeting of the Quiet Council is tomorrow. We have 11 of the 12 seats filled, which we knew from the last one. And they said, Emma Frost has yet to name a Red King. She's up to something. Well, we're all up to something, Moira, but she understands the scale of all this. And then the Autumn Table, it's Apocalypse, Charles, and Magneto. Jean Grey, Storm, and Nightcrawler at the summer table. Spring is Hellfire Club. And then, of course, there is winter, which is Sinister, Exodus, and Mystique. Basically, they're saying Mystique would not agree to join without certain guarantees. They promised to bring Destiny back, and Moira is hard-edged against no. She doesn't want anybody being able to see the future. And then said, you really want them to know that we always lose. The truth is that until now, we have always lost, but this time it's going to be different, for we are different. And the parade that's going on in House of X is going on, and it's Charles and Magneto walking with each other, and they're kind of just proud. They're like, just look at what we have made. And yet the thought lingers, is it enough? The genius of how these two series intertwine and the time jumping around and how it tells the story non-linearly. Fascinating. Again, this is why I love Hickman's writing, because he managed to have these two books weave around each other. And how often is it that the second issue literally tells the entire direction this whole story is, and how all these different choices are made. Powers of X I did not find as good as House of X, but I thought the last two of each have been rather solid, and especially how they intertwine together. Pardon me. I'm giving this a solid 8 out of 10. I'm going to give the entire series as a whole a 9. House of X and Powers of X, I'd love to see it just turn into one big volume, and have it kind of in the order it goes. Probably won't happen, but it would be interesting to see. With that, I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you for joining me. Let me know what you're reading, what you think I should be reading. Again, time-wise, I'm kind of just making some picks every week of books that are kind of from the top of my pile. I am behind. I'm trying to catch up on some of the random other books. So if there's something you think I should review or read, also comment, let me know. I'd just like to, again, thank you for joining me. I appreciate everybody taking the time out of your day to watch me ramble about some stuff. So with that being said, I hope you all had a wonderful new comic book day. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.